Okay, everything on that one is turned off. Everything on this one is turned on. I think we are ready to go. Or at least as ready as I'm going to get. It has been a rough morning. So, we're going to make the best of this and see what we can get accomplished. So let's get this started. There it goes. Hello, Shadowcat back. We are back to work on the Warhammer 40k module. We got all of our tanks done, which was actually super easy once I realized that all the tanks are the same tank. That was convenient. But I mean, you know, if it works, why mess with it? Why try to fix what ain't broken? If you can use the same tank for every purpose, why not? I'm pretty sure we do that with the Abrams tank. It does everything, right? I think. So, sure. Just make one tank, make it really good, and go to town. We also got the rest of the light vehicles done. We got our hover barge done. We got our little bike things done. So they're fine. And that doesn't say that we're done with vehicles by a long shot. We didn't even do, like... We didn't do Mechanicus vehicles. We didn't do Astartes vehicles. I mean, we did, I think, a Land Raider at the very beginning, and I think we did it really poorly. We may have to go back and revisit that. The thing about the Land Raider, though, is that it's a Land Raider and I want to say a Rhino are their two primary tanks. And I think what we're going to do is kind of like what we did with the Tau tank. We're going to make like the most absolute basic version of a Land Raider, because everybody has their own unique pattern for those tanks. And I'm not doing like 30 different tanks. I'll do one basic one, and then depending on what we come across, it can be modified to customize whatever we need. So yeah, there's still a lot of vehicles that we need to go back and do. The reason I skipped MBs4 is because I didn't think they were very important at the moment. But for the Tau, you just can't get around it. The Tau are their vehicles. I mean, every single other faction in the game has a lot of troops that'll go in and just mess everything up. I mean, Tyranids have their swarms of bugs, Orcs have their swarms of Orcs, the Imperial Guard has their swarms of people. You have the Astartes who go in and just play hero the entire time. You have the Eldar who will literally think you to death. But the Tau? The Tau are all about their guns and their vehicles. We could not skip them this time, because if you take that away, they got nothing. I mean, I think it took until like 9th edition for the Tau to even get a melee squad that they could use. Because Tau just don't do melee. Their units aren't terribly tough. And now, I think for some stupid reason, they've actually introduced Psykers into Tau. Which I personally think is a really dumb decision, because that was one of the things that made Tau unique. The Tau didn't really have a presence in the warp, and the Tau didn't have Psykers. And it worked out fine for them. So, I don't know. Stupid decisions from Games Workshop, but it's not like that's anything new for them. Okay, checking the chat. JP is here. Hello, JP. Good to see you. JP says jetpacks. And I don't know that we have jetpacks. Not yet, at least. Here's the thing. When we did a lot of the Tau war gear, we covered their armor and we covered their weapons. But there's a lot of gear that we never touched. So if I do a quick look here, and I know it's not up on screen yet, but after we get done with all the guns, there's a large section on Tau technologies and support systems. So let me bring this up, actually. So there's our browser. We already got our Manta ready to go. Or there's our spreadsheet. Here's our browser. And this is Tau technologies and support systems. We've got advanced stabilization systems for battle suits. We'll have to figure out exactly what that does. Advanced targeting systems, automated repair systems, black sun filters, command and control node. This is all the stuff that adds on to, well, right now all of our vehicles, because I don't think any of this is really carryable by normal people. Darkstar Warhead is a neutron warhead. This is for missiles fired from Tau starships, so yeah, more vehicles. Decoy launchers, vehicles. Disruption pods, vehicles. Earthcast pilot array is also for vehicles. Ejection system for vehicles. Never leave home without one. Energy shields, ether drives. I'm pretty sure that the Tau have jetpacks of some kind. I just don't know what it would be called. No, wait, it's literally right there. Jetpack. There we go. You wanted jetpacks? There's a jetpack. A man-portable powered flight device that allows the user to hover and rapidly move through the air. They grant great mobility and maneuverability to their bearers. They offer more controlled flight than jump packs and are designed to provide more stable firing platforms than a rapid means of entering close combat. Right, okay, there you go. And I assume that jump packs are going to be in here somewhere, so we'll probably have to make some of those, too. Ah, no, wait, there we go. Jump packs. Designed to be attached to the backpacks of Space Marines or the Sisters of Battle suits. So, Space Marines get jump packs, Tau get jet packs. Good to know. So there you go, JP. We can absolutely do jetpacks, but that's going to come later. Since most of this stuff is attached to vehicles, we got to get our vehicles done first. So, why don't we get into that? Because the first thing we're doing today is the Manta. And the Manta is going to be an absolute pain in my tail. But we're going to get it done anyway. See, the Manta is going to be an absolute pain just because of what it is. So the Manta Missile Destroyer, also simply known as the Manta, is a super heavy vessel used by the Tau Empire as transportation for whole hunter cadres. Okay, we've read this before. Alongside ballistic suits, they are the Tau's nearest equivalent to an Imperial Titan or Orc Gargant, which gives you an idea of the scale of these things, but we'll get into because we do actually have a technical sheet. JP says jetpacks need a misfire mechanic. They're not going to have a misfire mechanic, I'll tell you that right now. But what they will have is jetpacks will need, and that's going to come down under skills. Remember we have skills? We have skills. When you look at your skills, the first one I should be creature type. No, I don't. Where's my list of skills? Take 10, aid another, identify creature. Shouldn't I have like just a list here of skills? I thought that I would. Recall knowledge. Oh, no, wait, there it is. Okay, I just didn't go down far enough. I don't know why I had to go through all this stuff first. Okay, so, we have acrobatics and we have athletics.
It's gone.
Okay? And if you're gonna use a jetpack, you're gonna need one of those. The question is just gonna be what? So for acrobatics, this is a dexterity save. Or a dexterity skill, there is balance, and escape, and fly. So when we're talking about, using a jetpack, that's probably going to fall under flying, which is probably going to fall under acrobatics, since we don't actually have flying in this list, whereas in Pathfinder we did have flying as its own unique skill. So, it'll probably be that. It'll probably be a fly check, and we can even have different tiers of jetpacks that'll have better bonuses to it. For example, having the really cheap jetpacks, the like level 1 jetpacks, will probably come with a penalty You can still do it, but you should probably avoid doing it if you don't have to. And then, of course, the really good jetpacks will give you bonuses. So, there's that. Now, given that this is a skill, you don't need a misfire mechanic because you have to roll a d20, which means that you have a 5% chance of either critical success or critical failure. Do not roll a critical failure with a jetpack. I am warning you right now, just don't do it. I promise you, if you roll a critical failure with a jetpack, I am going to make it hurt. I cannot help myself, I can only make it hurt. Some things just, they need to have dire consequences, and jetpacks are one of them. If it came down to that, I may even give like a reflex save just to make things even out, because if you're going to have extreme consequences, you also have to have safety nets. So if you rolled a natural 1 on your fly check, I maybe give you a reflex save to try and mitigate it. If you fail, or if you get a critical failure and fail the reflex save, well, I mean, yeah, crit fail, go boom, maybe. Keep in mind, though, it's a critical failure on the flying, not the jetpack. That being said, however, I mean, if the jetpack gets damaged, like, here's something that doesn't come in very often. This is something that doesn't usually happen. And most players, I think, are kind of unaware of this. You can actually target equipment. It falls under the rules of sundering, but if you've ever seen a movie where somebody's holding like a pistol or a sword or something, and somebody else with a gun or a bow shoots it out of their hand, you can actually do that. There's really nothing stopping you from doing that. The problem is that when you try to do that, you are now shooting against a usually super tiny object. And so the roll you need to hit this object is really high. You got to keep in mind, if you're shooting at a normal person, okay? So a normal person, just standing there naked, has an AC of 10. Already, you have a 50-50 chance to hit them, and that is a medium-sized person, naked, standing still. Then, everybody gets a bonus to their AC from their dexterity because they're not standing still. And so you generally get anywhere from a 1 to a 5 bonus on your armor class from your dexterity. Now, normally we would also begin to factor in armor, whatever you happen to be wearing. However, if you're shooting at an object, it's not wearing armor. So we don't need to give it that. But what we will give it is the fact that, see if I can find it in here, because it would be under game mastering, I believe. Exploration and movement. I think it's under combat, actually. Yeah, here we go. Space reach. And this is true across both Pathfinder and Starfinder, so it works for both. So, size modifier. This goes on your armor class. So when we're talking about, can you shoot something on a person? Like, let's say that they're wearing a belt, okay? And on their belt, they have a variety of pouches and jars, okay? So let's say you're in combat, and you have this person, they're like an alchemist, okay? And they have a variety of pouches and jars on their belt. So you do a perception check first to see if you can even see what's on their belt. And, you know, me being the DM, if you wanted to say what's on their belt, I can actually let you do multiple checks in one turn if I deem it. So, you say, what's on his belt? And I say, alright, first make a perception check. Let's see if you can even see what's on his belt. You make a perception check, you roll a 17. I say, yes, you can see what's on his belt. Okay. You can see that on his belt he has various tied pouches and jars, suspended by cords wrapped around the neck of the bottle. Each bottle being corked, of course, so the things don't fall out. I then tell you, okay, make a knowledge check, and I'm not sure off the top of my head what that knowledge check would be, to see if you know what is in, like, say, the glass bottle. Oh, Blizz is in the chat. Hello, Blizz, good to see you. So you make your perception check, you pass your perception check. Now I say make a knowledge check. You make the you roll the knowledge check. You rolled a 15. And it's like, okay, that's good enough. So you rolled a 15, and I tell you, inside that bottle, you notice a fluid sloshing around as he moves. It's a more viscous fluid. However, something that you would realize, or you would understand as being some kind of mixture between oil and some kind of plasticine powder, which you might recognize that as basically being fantasy medieval napalm. Okay, so you're like, okay. So he's got a jar of what is essentially napalm hanging from his hip. And you say, you know what I want to do? I want to shoot an arrow, and I want to hit the jar of napalm on his hip. So we come over here and we say, alright, how big is this jar? And we look at the sizes here. This is creature sizes, but this can also apply to literally anything. So when we're looking at these sizes, we can say a jar of liquid usually weighs about or not, you know, like a full jar, but like a small jar of liquid weighs about a pound. So a pound is going to be diminutive. Alright? So now we've got this jar on his belt. It's going to be a base 10 to hit it, because that's what we do. It's going to get the advantage of his dexterity because it's attached to him and he's moving. And that can be anywhere from a 0 to a 5, but it's probably going to be relatively on the high side because most people prioritize their dexterity to a certain degree. Now we get to add the size modifier, which in this case is going to be a +4. So if they've got a decent dexterity, say a +3, and now a +4, that's going to give this thing an AC of 17, which is going to be a lot harder to hit. Is it impossible? No. Is it the kind of thing that you really want to risk in the middle of combat when you could probably just shoot them? In my experience, generally not. Most players don't go for it. But you can. Now, in the case of a jetpack, where was it? Down, 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 down. There it is. I do not get a picture of a jetpack. So I can only guess at the size of a jetpack, but it's probably not going to be too big. I'd have to say that a jetpack probably is going to weigh about, I don't know, maybe 10 to 20 pounds, because this has got to be something that a fire warrior can slap on and then run into battle. If it weighs too much, it's not going to be useful. So it's probably only going to weigh about maybe 10 to 20 pounds. If we come back here to Space Reach, 10 to 20 pounds will make it small, which is going to be a +1. However, being a jetpack, it's probably going to have a hardness, given the materials it's made out of, Now, the materials that it's made out of, I'm not sure. The Tau do have certain materials that they use for a lot of stuff. It's that crystalline material. I forget what it's called. So it'll get a bonus from the dexterity of the wearer. It'll get a +1 from being small. It'll get the hardness from simply being made out of metal. But if you wanted to go for it, if you wanted to say, I shoot his jetpack, that's an option. Now, by and large, if you were to shoot the jetpack, it would probably just damage it and disable it. That being said, however, there are different modifications we can make here. Like, the fact is that this is Starfinder, not Pathfinder. Meaning that if you're shooting it with something, it's not going to be with an arrow. Probably. It's probably going to be with some kind of energy weapon, and energy weapons come in a variety of flavors. So, I mean, when we come down to weapons and we say, what do we got, what do we got? Here we go. Weapon damage. We've got acid damage. What happens if you shoot it with acid? Well, maybe the armor doesn't count for as much, and so its hardness is treated as lower. What if you shoot it with cold energy? I don't know, probably nothing. I don't know. What's cold gonna do to it? If you shoot it with electricity, though, oh, okay. If you shoot it with electricity, maybe you get a haywire out of it. Shoot electricity and trigger it automatically, and now you get to roll randomly, and let's say how far does it go and how far in what direction. So let's say when we figured out it can go, I don't know, I'm not sure how far these things usually go, but let's say that it goes for, it can go up to 100 feet in the air, and it can go up to 100 feet in any one direction. So we simply do like a D percentage roll for height and say you go this far up in the air. And then we roll a D8 to pick a direction, because, you know, 8 directions. And then roll another D percentage to see how far you go in that direction. And then you get to make a reflex save to see whether you bite it on the landing. Fun stuff. Or fire. Maybe you shoot it with fire, maybe it does explode. You know, if you manage to damage it. You still gotta hit it, you still gotta penetrate it. But if you actually do damage with fire, maybe it goes boom. Maybe you go boom with it. I don't know, we haven't done it yet. But there's a lot of options there. And options are good. I like options. So, yeah, like I said, not something we're doing right now. It's something that we will get to later on. So you can look forward to that. There's a lot of stuff in here that we need to go through. But a lot of it is like a black sun filter. It's an advanced optical filtering suite employed by Tau military units that enhances and magnifies their low light vision. Yeah, it says all Tau battlesuit primary sensor clusters are fitted with black sun filters as standard. Skimmers and aircraft can also be upgraded with them. I don't know if this even goes to regular soldiers. So it's pretty much just a vehicle, and that's why we're doing this first. The automated repair system is vehicles only, so we had to have the vehicles done first. Which brings us back to the entire point of what we're doing today. 25-minute tangent. That's a new record. That's alright though, I'm good at segueing, so here we go. So we're working on the Manta now. And interesting thing is, when I was looking at the Manta, We got technical information here, command and control, defensive measures. These are all things that it really does. And one of the things that I looked for is exactly how far do the capabilities of this ship go? And I found out that the capabilities of the Manta are a little overstated, but not much. So it's got transport capacity. Now, we knew that it was a transport vessel. Engines. Actually, here we go. The Manta missile destroyer is actually equipped with an ether drive, making it the smallest interstellar capable spacecraft in Tau service. And if you read that line alone, you would say, this is not a vehicle, this is a spacecraft. But we continue reading. But this capability is severely limited. For all but the shortest hops along the edge of warp space, the Manta must still be transported inside larger carrier ships. The Manta is also capable of hover mode for deployment of troops. However, the considerable energy requirements needed for operations close to the planet's surface mean the ship loses the capability for fast maneuvering during ground combat. So, what we have here is an aircraft that is capable of entering space, but not really performing as a spacecraft. It does not do FTL travel. It is not meant for long voyages. It is just a dropship that can be deployed from orbit and return to orbit. So there's a lot there that we need to kind of figure out. And this is one of those projects that I think we're going to have to kind of defy the rules on, unfortunately. Because this thing is actually really, really big. So it is regarded as a shuttle. Now, interestingly about that, they're going to call it a shuttle. And if we come over to starships, we do have we have shuttles over here. And I wonder how they stack up. So we have racers, interceptors, fighters. Here we go, shuttles. Shuttles are regarded as being small craft. And we look up here, small craft are anywhere from roughly 60 to 120 feet in length and roughly 20 to 40 tons. Does that transfer? No. No, it does not. The Manta is 382 tons. So, now that we know that it's got that much of a difference, I need to know what is 32 meters, 52 meters, so that I can scale this. Or at least that I can scale this properly. Alright. Where can I get that? I gotta pull up a, thing. Here we go. Meters to feet. Probably should have had this up before. That's alright. I never claim to be good at what I do. Alright. Meters to feet. So, this thing is 32 meters long. That's going to make it 105 feet. So, that's big ship. 105 feet. Let's go ahead and put that down. Size, dimension. So, 105 feet long by, it says 52 meters wide. That is 170 feet. And then 8 meters high. That is going to be 26. I'm going to round it down to 25. Just to make things, well, yeah, I'm going to round it down to the nearest 5. So it's going to be 25 feet. That is a big, big ship. Now that we've got our dimensions, I wonder, does it actually match anything else? So we know it's not a small ship. Length of 105 feet. 105 feet. Well, no, actually that is still in the area of small. What about the weight, though? The weight of it says 382 tons. Actually, I wonder, is there a difference between metric tons and imperial tons? Mass. Metric tons, imperial tons. Not really. I think it said 382? Yeah, 382. Comes down to 375. Well, 376, really. I don't think that really makes a difference. It really doesn't. Now, that weight would put it in the category of large. Seeing as how the length is the only thing that really gets counted, I don't know, do we split the difference? Call it a medium? If it's small by length and large by weight, we could call it a medium ship. That could be useful information. Only reason I'm looking it up, it could be useful information. Okay, but let's try and make it into a vehicle. So we've got the dimensions on it, and when we were looking at vehicles, we looked at the passenger jumbo plane here. So this thing is enormous. It is 600 feet long, 750 feet wide, and 180 feet tall. You know, counting the tail fin. This thing is enormous, and I don't think we need to do everything that this thing does. So the primary thing that's increasing its transportation abilities is the mass transportation, because every time you get the mass transportation, it increases the size. And every time you get mass transportation, I forget how many people that adds. I think it multiplies the capacity by 50, if I remember right. So we're going to search this on the page. Nope, can't do it that way. Transportation. Oh, right, I think I have to... Here we go, transportation, right here. Yeah, this adds an increased functionality to carry 50 times the typical passenger limit. The modification for this, it multiplies the standard frame size by 8. So, how much does this thing actually carry? We know that it'll carry an entire cadre, plus extra stuff. And it is regarded as a shuttle, so does it actually say? It does not say. Right, I think we had to look this up before. So, it is for transportation of whole hunter cadres. How many did we say was in a hunter cadre before? We looked this up before and now I don't remember. Let's see. A hunter cadre is a standard combined arms military formation. At its core, it's comprised of members of the Fire Caste, organized into teams of warriors from the same set. Oh, right, I think it was this. We were looking at this thing. And this is not the best way to do this picture, but it's cut off up here, but the standard hunter cadre, 2 fire warrior teams, 3 crisis, 3 XV8 crisis teams, 2 broadside teams, a hammerhead gunship, a skyray missile gunship, 2 Kroot carnivore squads, and a piranha team. There's a lot there, actually. Yeah, there's no way we're gonna be able to fit this thing into the standard rules. We're gonna have to go way over budget on this one, I think. So the rules at this point, I think, are kind of out the window. We just got to figure out the numbers that we do need. So, for example, a Fire Warrior team. How many Fire Warriors are in a Fire Warrior team? So here's a Fire Warrior. A Fire Warrior strike team, the most common type. It is a high-speed detachment of troops who lay down fire, but it doesn't actually tell me how many people are in the team. I just had an idea, though. I've had an idea. What if we do this? I'm going to cheat. Welcome to the Games Workshop website. I'm sure if we have a question, we'll find the answer here. Let's go to Shop. And we're going to go 40K. And we're going to go down to Xenos Tau Empire. Yes! Now, where is a Fire Warrior team? That's Kill Team Pathfinders. Fire Warrior Strike Team. Here we go. This is a Fire Warrior Strike Team. And it comes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's got 10 warriors in it. It's also got these little drone things, and I guess a missile pod thing. So let's see. This multi-part plastic kit gives you everything you need to build 10 Tau Empire Fire Warriors in their strike team configuration. One model may be upgraded to a chassis. It also includes 2 drones and a DS-8 tactical support turret, which I do not believe are really part of the actual team. They're just kind of there as an add-on. But there we go. Strike team. 10 people. We can use that. So if every strike team is going to be 10, and the standard hunter cadre is 2 Fire Warrior teams, we can call that 20 people. So let's go ahead and make a note of that, actually, because I'm not going to be able to remember all this. I'll put it over here. So, 2 Fire Warrior teams, 20. Next, 3 XV8 crisis teams. So what's in a crisis team? Let's see if we can find out. So we're looking for crisis. Kill Team Pathfinders. There's a broadside. There's stealth battle suits. Riptide. Commander. More Pathfinders. Crisis. Here we go. So here's an XV8. Isn't that what it's literally said? Yeah, 3 XV8 crisis teams. So a crisis team is apparently 3 crisis battle suits, plus a whole bunch of drones. Meaning that if we wanted to have 3 of these teams, that's going to be 9 suits. Awesome. Next. An XV-88 broadside team. Now, broadsides are pretty big. XV-88 broadside battle suit. That is a whole 1. It's so big, it is the team. So that's going to be 1 suit. Now, because each of these actually counts as a vehicle, we're going to need some special modifications to our Manta to even carry these things. 1 Hammerhead gunship. Okay, we already have information on this. So, Hammerhead gunship. That is 1 tank. A Skyray missile gunship. Which is just another pattern of the Hammerhead, so that is 1 tank. And then 2 Kroot carnivore squads. So let's see if we can find that. Alright, we've got crisis battle suits, we've got a ghost keel, we've got a storm surge, which, I mean, I still just, I can't with these guys. I get it, I know, they're really super tough. It just feels like if you knock it over, it's screwed. If it falls over, it can't get up. I just can't with these guys. Okay. There's a tiger shark. Oh, I wonder, do they have a Manta in here? Because that would be awesome. There's a Skyray gunship. Shark bomber. Hammerhead gunship. We'll get to the bomber later on. Same thing with the strike fighter. I think we did the strike fighter last time. Devilfish. Supremacy armor. Wow, they actually sell weapons individually. They actually do have a Manta. They do have a kit for it. Holy crap! It is $2,000 for this thing. I can't. They have some stingwings though. That's cool. But do they have any Kroot? They have Kroot hounds, sniper drones, Barracuda. Here we go. Kroot carnivore squad. That's what we needed. That's perfect. Look at them. That is a lot of Kroot, actually. That's a lot of Kroot. Okay, how many is that actually? This box contains the 16 multi-part plastic Kroot carnivores. So that is going to be 16 more medium-sized creatures. And there's 2 Kroot carnivore squads, so double it. That's going to be 32 just people. I'm just going to say creatures. 32 creatures. This one is going to be 20 creatures. And then a piranha team. And I don't know what goes into a piranha team. Not yet, anyway. First, though, I gotta look at this thing. I gotta look. A $2,000 model. What do you get for a $2,000 model? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it is a pretty ship. It's a really pretty ship. If you're gonna play Tau and you're gonna use this thing, it has got to be like the center point of your army. Oh my god, look at the details. You can actually take the top off and see the Fire Warriors inside. There's the pilots! Alright, it's multi-level and you can actually see the models inside. Holy crap. Alright, it's kind of worth it. I guess if you're like a really dedicated Tau player, it's worth it. Look at how tiny the suits are inside. That's impressive. See, another reason I don't really get models because I don't want to paint things. And this thing looks really awesome, but I would not want to paint it. I really don't. I hate painting things. Let's see. This resin modeling kit is a collectible item and construction should only be undertaken by expert Warhammer hobbyists aged 15 years and over. Don't tell me what to do. Okay. Please note, this model is shipped with free worldwide express. I don't care. Due to the size and complexity, they are cast to order. So it measures 25 inches long with a wingspan of 34 inches. How big is the typical table for gaming? It's like 4x8, 6x8, something like that, I think. This thing is huge. It weighs 28 pounds. Let's see. It has a fully working detailed interior with 2 flight decks. The upper deck where you'll find 48 seated resin Fire Warriors and 6 gun drones. Overseen by a Tau Ethereal, they exit through the doors that retract into the walls, then down the ramp. On the lower deck, there are 8 Tau battlesuits, 2 Devilfish troop carriers, 2 Hammerhead battle tanks. The whole deck drops down so the vehicles and battlesuits can disembark. That's just... Yeah, JP says wish list items. That pretty much sums it up. Oh boy. That's a thing. Okay, we gotta find a Piranha squad though. Because I gotta know how many people's in it. Oh, and then there's... Okay, I understand now why all these guns are being sold separately. These are all for this Supremacy armor thing. So you have to buy its arms separately. That's lame. Okay, Piranhas though. Piranhas. Pathfinder Tetras. Stealth Fighters. I don't see Piranhas. Did I miss them somewhere? Oh, wait, here we go. Piranhas. Well, I guess according to this, a Piranha squad is just one Piranha. Sure, I guess. It's a cool model, though. Comes in 2 colors, too. White and orange. Well, tan? Tan, I guess. Desert camo. I kind of like it in the white more, though. Okay, then. We can go ahead and leave it at that, then. A Piranha team is just going to be 1 bike. So, now that we get an idea of how much this thing has to carry, in particular, This thing has to carry a minimum of, and we got to add in the pilots. There's 2 pilots. We saw there was 2 pilots. This thing has to carry a minimum of 54 people. Now the other one actually had more people in it, but we're going to go with these numbers. So 54 people. Unless we want to add in like all the pilots for all the other things, in which case we could easily call this thing just like 100. Let's think about this actually. We have 54 individuals counting the pilots. Each of these suits is 1. In fact, every suit is 1. Every tank is 1. So that's another 12 there. 54 plus 12 is going to be 66. Plus the bike, which has 2 people in it, that's 68. We didn't even look at the ethereal that was leading them, so we can call that 69. Nice. And that's not even beginning to count like auxiliary personnel, extra mechanics, whatever it might be. We could easily go way up on that number, I think. So let's look at a large flying vehicle then. So the large flying vehicle will hold 12 medium passengers, or the equivalent of bulk. Okay? The base size of this thing is 40 feet wide, 50 feet long, 12 feet tall. We know that if we take the mass transit, it increases this thing by 8 times. So, where's my calculator? Why do I need a calculator for this? 40 times 8. 4 times 8 is 32. Add the 0 back on. 320 feet long. That's a bit too crazy, but we can make it smaller, I think. 50 feet. Oh, that's wide. 50 feet long. Times 8 would just be enormous, so I think we can cut that down a little bit. 12 feet tall, same thing. We can basically make it as large as we want. The mass transit will give us the wiggle room we need to do anything. So, and holding 12 medium passengers, if you multiply that by 50, that's 600. So a single mass transit will get us everything that we need. Now, given as a Tau vehicle, it automatically comes with both military and hover, so we don't have to worry about that. I think that starting with a large flying vehicle is going to be the way to go. So, let's go ahead and put this down here. This is going to be a large flying vehicle. Well, just large flying. Obviously, it's a vehicle. It's going to be level 1. So, the speed on this thing is going to be 60, 280, 120. So 60 feet per turn, or no, acceleration is 60 feet per turn, I think. 120, or full is 120. And that's going to cap out at 100, or 280, excuse me. And 120 mph. And we'll have to modify that, of course, with the military stuff. Energy armor class is going to be 10. Kinetic is 12. And base cover is full. Makes sense because this thing is huge. Actually, no, I keep getting that screwed up. When they say cover, they don't necessarily mean the cover that you get from the vehicle. When they say cover, what they mean is how much cover the vehicle has over its own, critical functioning systems. So something small like a bike that has no cover, you can literally just shoot the engine. Something with full cover, though, every internal system is covered. HP on this thing is going to be 20, broken at 5. The attack. Now, let's see. This thing was a medium flying vehicle. It has a collision DC of 13 and does 46. Actually, hold on. This literally does not change. I can just copy it from here. There we go. Why make it harder on myself? As for attacks, it's going to come down to whatever we happen to have built. This is probably not the kind of thing that players will get a hold of. This would be like the set piece for a particular mission. So I would be building it. I would be filling in the attacks and things like that. Piloting for this thing. Oh, also hardness, too. Forgot that. Piloting is going to be a +4, +1 at full speed. So +1, or no, +4. +1. No, I do not want that to be a formula. Passengers. Okay, so it's got to... I'm going to go ahead and say that this thing will hold up to 100 people. So I'm going to go ahead and say that it's got 2 pilots and 98 passengers. And that should give us the wiggle room that we need to have soldiers, pilots, mechanics, ethereals, whatever you want on there. And I can adjust it later on if I find that I need to. Modifications, though. And here's where it's going to get absolutely insane. Because in order to carry all of this, we need to have 1 mass transportation. Then, however, and this is where it's going to get really bad, mecha vehicle transporter. This allows the vehicle trailer, container, whatever it is, to carry vehicles one size less than the vehicle safely. It comes with all the necessary tackle for the role, although it costs double if the transporter is self-contained, giving the internal mecha full protection from attack while stored inside. And they are obviously stored inside. So, a vehicle being transported can be locked together functionally if desired. Alternately, it can also carry 2 power armor, a gargantuan character scale or smaller, per size. It requires 1 action to open and exit an enclosure. This can be taken twice to expand the carrying capacity by a single size, so medium to large, large to huge, but no more than its own size, though several transporters can work together to move a larger vehicle or mecha. While transporting it, the speed is reduced by 50% and -4 to piloting. How are we going to do this without completely taking the entire rule set, setting it on fire, and then dancing on the ashes? So according to this, it cannot carry anything as large as itself. It has to be 1 size smaller, I think. If I understood it right. Which means that we have a large ship. We would need to make it gargantuan for it to even carry some things like the larger battle suits. Because didn't we go through the battle suits and determine their size already? So yeah, we actually kind of did. So crisis battle suits are medium. Everything else is, hazards and ghost keels are large. Riptide, Sword Surge, and Supremacy are huge. Now, I don't think we're actually carrying any of those. Let's see, Riptide, Storm Surge, or Supremacy? No. The biggest we're carrying is a Broadside. And Broadsides are just medium. So we're actually well inside of that category as well. But, according to these rules, actually, there's nothing in the rules that really puts a cap on this. It says it can be taken twice to expand the carrying capacity by a single size. But we could also just add in another mecha vehicle transporter. So, what do we need? We need to carry one broadside. That is a medium vehicle. We can do that. We need to carry 2 of these hammerhead tanks. And each one of them is based on the Devilfish. The Devilfish is a large tank. So we're up to 1 medium, 2 large. And the Piranha Team bikes, I think, are small. Let's scroll up. Piranha, Skimmer. Oh, it's actually a large bike. Okay, so that is going to be 1 medium and 3 large vehicles. Technically speaking, this is doable. So we need to have a vehicle transporter times 4. And that's a lot. Okay, though. Even though that is a lot, what else do we really need? As far as I know, nothing. We don't really need anything more than this, because this is going to give us exactly the bare minimum that we need. We have our mass transportation for troops. We have vehicle transporter for the vehicles. Oh, I forgot. I forgot the crisis teams with 9 suits. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Are they power armor? No, they're medium walkers. We gotta add those in too. Times 4 my ass. This has got to go up to like times 13. Oof. That's going to get expensive. Speaking of expensive, we are not done yet, because we have to remember this thing is also a starship. We might actually also go through and throw in some oversized, maybe? I don't know, I gotta think about that. So, Starship Materials. This converts the hit points into hull points using super advanced manufacturing technologies. Note this applies to the vehicle itself and is still considered a vehicle in all other respects without the normal protections and rules starships have. Hit points are divided by 10 and then rounded up. This is useful for pre-drift Golden Age vehicles and reusable aerospace vehicles. That part right there. Reusable aerospace vehicles. Which, you know, is what this thing ostensibly is. So, Starship Material. To do this, you have to divide the HP by 10. So we're going to go ahead and say Starship Material. And we're going to change the HP. Well, here's the thing. With the military bonus, it increases everything by 25%. So why don't we go ahead and take care of that for the HP right now. So 25% of 20 is going to be 5. Now, does that change anything? Probably not. Because once we divide it by 10 again, that's going to be 2.5. I can round it up to 3. So it's going to be, instead of HP, it's going to be hull points. And I'm going to call that 3. Now, in addition to that, this thing also needs to be able to get off the ground. So, thruster modifications. This allows it to use starship thrusters. And gains the movement speed and maneuvers of a spaceship. Is that really what I need, though? Jump jets, no. Flight system, no, because it already has that. Fast, here we go. So this increases the base speed by 75%. It can be purchased a second time, increasing speed by 150%. Taking it a third time gives it extreme speed. Let's see, on the ground this would be seen as extreme racing or drag racing systems. On a flying vehicle, however, this modification takes a different direction, giving it both 300% increase in speed or giving it trans-atmospheric capability. It says both, but then it says or. I'm going to assume it meant and. So we need to take fast 3 times. Because this thing has to be able to leave the atmosphere. So that is going to be a 300% increase in speed. So this is going to be fast times 3. A 300% increase in speed is going to be 180-foot acceleration. Full speed is going to be 280 times 3, 840 feet. And that is going to make the speed 120 times, or 120 miles an hour times 3. That's going to be 360 miles per hour, which seems awfully slow for trans-atmospheric flight. Not gonna lie. I'm pretty sure all those rockets go a lot faster than 360 miles an hour. I say that because planes go faster than 360 miles per hour. But, okay, whatever. It's fine. Everything else I'm going to leave as is because I do not want to unbalance this thing any more than it is already unbalanced. And I really hate that 13 in there. I'm going to knock this thing down to 12. And I will just modify things as I need to. We can get rid of this now because we don't need it. And I'm going to say this is going to be our Manta. Now, how much does this thing cost? This is going to get crazy. So a large flying vehicle has a base cost of 8,000 credits. And because we're starting off with military and hover, we're already going up by 144%. Now, mass transportation. Let's see, let's come down to here. Mass transportation is going to cost us an additional 20, or no, base percentage. So that'd be 200%, which means that 20 times, that's 2,000%. Yeah, 20 times is 2,000%. Vehicle transporter times 12. That is going to be 1.25 times 12. So 1.25 times 12 is 15. Add on a couple of zeros, and that is 1,500%. Plus the 2144 we already have is 3644. Now, starship materials. That is the tier times 2 in build points plus the vehicle cost. It doesn't have a tier though, does it? Starship materials. This plus the vehicle itself, still considered a vehicle. Hit points are divided by 10 and rounded up to the nearest whole number, which we did. It doesn't say anything about a tier. So I'm not sure what that means. So tier times 2 build points. I don't understand what the hell that even means. That is just absolutely bizarre way to write that. And it's giving me a headache. I'm just going to go ahead and say the tier is going to be 1. So 1 times 2 is 2. Plus the vehicle cost. I'm going to go ahead and just say it doubles the vehicle cost because I can't make heads or tails of this. So I'm going to go ahead and say 16,000. Okay? I can't do this. And then fast times 3. That is going to be a 1,000% increase in cost. So this is going to become 4. So now that we got all those set up, how much does this thing actually cost? That is going to be 16,000 credits times 46.44 for a grand total of $743,040 credits. Good luck affording that. Now, one thing that we also did not get done is I forgot to apply military to everything else around here, so we'll do this really quick. Military is going to increase the speed here. So 180 times 1.25 is going to be 225. Full speed will be 840 times 1.25 to make that 1050. And then 360 times 1.25 is 450 miles an hour. There we go. All right. Armor is going to go up to 13. This one is going to go up to 16. Cover stays the same. Hull points stay the same because we already did that. Hardness doesn't change. Everything else stays the same. So there we go. There is our Manta. Took an hour to make the damn thing, but there it is. And even then, it's still probably the most broken thing that I have put into this entire build so far. Just because the scale on it doesn't work. And that's actually kind of one of the big problems with Warhammer 40k, is that everything is so extra. It's hard to ground it in rules. The only reason why Warhammer works the way it does is because everything is just so broken and extra in the same way. But that's fine. We're going to make this work. We're going to make a playable game out of this, even if some things are a little bit iffy. But you know what? That's where I come in, because I can balance things in real time. And the players don't even have to know about it. I can just say, you know what? This thing's a little bit too tough. I'm going to trim a little bit off the armor class here. Or maybe I'm just going to cheat on my rolls a little bit to maybe make it a little bit less lethal. I do it all the time. One of my favorite things to do was whenever I would throw something at my players that they were actually unable to handle, one of my favorite things to do was to, like, if you ever watch movies, and this is actually really prominent in like anime, but you'll see it in other things too, is when you have your main character going up against the big bad never actually tries to kill them. You may notice this. It's like, if you're really this strong, why didn't you just like pin down the hero, grab their head, and turn it backwards? You have the power to do it. You have the speed and the dexterity to catch them. Why don't you just catch them and murder them? But then the story would be over. And so what do? They swing their arm and they fling them into like a wall or a pile of something. And that way the fight can continue. That's a really good way that I choose to handle things, because if I throw a monster at people, I will have the monster do 0 damage, and every time it hits somebody, they get to make a fortitude save. And failing the fortitude save, I get to throw them X number of feet, and they take damage depending on how far they've been thrown. Which is just a matter of d6s. It's like, I think, 1d6 per 10 feet. So there's always ways to adjust these things on the fly. And that's what I'll probably just do with this thing. If it ever becomes an issue. It might not. I don't know. I don't think I'll actually be able to use everything in this module. But I want to have everything in the module just in case. I like to be prepared. Okay, so what's next? After the Manta, it's the Orca dropship. Don't know anything about this. Didn't actually see the model for it when we were on Games Workshop. So I'm not sure what this is all about. Orca dropship. So delete, 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 delete. All right. Orca dropship. Now, what information can we get on this thing? So we can leave this behind, we can leave this behind, we can leave this behind, and look at the Orca dropship. Actually, there's an actual model there for that. We probably did see it, and I just didn't notice it. Okay, so the Orca dropship is a dedicated orbital transport vehicle for the Tau Empire, used for moving equipment, supplies, and troops from orbiting spacecraft to the planet's surface. It is not a combat vessel, primarily armed for self-defense only. Orcas are sometimes used to accomplish special missions on the field of battle, and include advanced equipment for monitoring the progress of operations. Given that it is not a combat vehicle, maybe we do not apply military to this one. No, that's stupid. It's going to get military. Okay, history I don't really care about. Armament, though. Burst cannons, missile pods, targeting arrays, black sun filters. Can also be fitted with up to 4 seeker missiles with marker lights. Command and control, defensive equipment, engines. So it's got ramjets equipped on either side of the fuselage, combined with grav plates positioned on its underside to give the craft exceptional speed and maneuverability, in spite of its bulky size, and allowing it to hover midair. Well, they all hover midair, so I mean, we got that. Transport capacity. The transport compartment of the Orca takes up the majority of the space and is accessible through a rear drop-down ramp. Seating is provided for 24 fire warriors or equivalent-sized troops, such as Kroot, along with separate command chair and transportation rack for 8 drones. Additional standing room allows for another 24 warriors or gun drones, or up to 6 crisis battle suits, 3 broadside battle suits, secured to an automatic transportation rail. Now that's interesting, because that actually just gave us some equivalents. 24 fire warriors or gun drones, so every drone is equivalent to 1 warrior. So drones are going to be medium size. That's good information. Or up to 6 crisis battle suits. If 6 crisis battle suits is equal to 24 fire warriors, then that means that 24 divided by 6 is 4. Every crisis battle suit is worth 4 medium creatures, which would make it large, essentially. But I mean, I suppose we can look at this. We already established that crisis battle suits, and let me take a look at this. Crisis battle suits are medium walkers, and when we made our list up here for sizes, tiny, small, 5x5, medium, we said is going to be 10 by 10 by 10. And a medium creature occupies a 5x5 area. Our numbers are lining up. Okay? We're actually getting some consistency here. Or up to 3 broadside battle suits. 24 divided by 3 is going to be 8. So that means that a broadside would occupy the same space as 8 medium creatures. But if you were to arrange them in a block, you would have 1 empty space. You fill in that empty space, that's a 3x3 area. That would mean that broadsuits should be considered large. Are they large? Broadside is considered medium, actually. Interesting. We may have to make an adjustment there. Maybe broadside should be considered as a large. Okay, but that's good data. That's really good data. Okay, so battle roll, it can transport people down. They would usually not be dropped directly into combat, more likely inserted on the planet's surface some distance away from the enemy before moving into battle. During major planetary invasions, they can provide important support to the Manta. Whilst Mantas transport the bulk of Tau forces, Orcas allow the Chasseurs to be flexible in the deployment of his hunter cadres. So basically, yeah, it's the smaller, less armored version of the Manta. And we have a data sheet. So crew is a pilot plus 2 operators, so we need 3 at a minimum. And then it carries 24 people, plus it can carry 24 more, so we're talking about a minimum of 48 passengers. This thing is only 21.45 meters long, so we can go ahead and start doing that. Let's see. Length. Meters to feet. 21.45 is going to be roughly 70 feet. Get the easy stuff done right off the bat. It is 14 meters wide. That is going to be 45 feet. And the thing is 4.95 meters tall. So that's going to be 16.2, but I'm going to round it down to being 15. Just because I like it all in nice 5-foot blocks. So 15 feet tall. It's a little shorter. You'll never know the difference. Just don't hang any chandeliers inside. Alright. Now, we've got rough sizes here. And the size there should give us plenty of room to really kind of work on whatever we want. I do believe it shows a picture here, doesn't it? Yeah, the Orc interior. So it shows the inside there is seating, and they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. So it did say that it had seating for 24. So it's got 2 rows of seats on the inside. If each one of these is, 5 feet to accommodate each warrior, that means that this has got to be 60 feet long inside, which means then that the rest of this has got to occupy 10 feet? Okay, the models may not actually look exactly like the sheet. It'll be fine, I guess. Passengers, though, as we just established, this thing has 3 crew, and then it can hold up to 48 others. So 3 crew, 48 passengers. Since this thing is not as big as the Manta, I'm wondering if we can go with a medium flying vehicle. So typically planes, helicopters, and jets, they hold 4 medium passengers and typically require a significant takeoff and landing strip. Okay, so 4 medium passengers. That means if we give this thing mass transportation, we multiply that by 50, we go up to 200. We don't even need 200. We only need to have roughly 51, I think. So that means that we can have our 48 passengers, and then that is going to be 149. Yeah, 149 extra people that we can convert into cargo. So if we do that, we can hold 29 or 2,980 bulk of cargo. So we can do that. So mass transportation is going to give us our crew and our cargo. Didn't do that with the Manta because the Manta is kind of just broken enough already. And I don't actually know how many people it's going to hold on the regular. This thing is pretty static. It only really carries this many people, and you can swap out some people for larger suits. This is going to be a medium flyer. As a medium flyer, though, the speed is going to be 60, 140, 30. However, we have another medium flyer up here with the Barracuda. I think I can just copy this. Why reinvent the wheel? Yeah, all of this I think can be copied down. And then we'll just make modifications where we need to. There we go. Because that will be the military stuff already applied. Alright, so now we've got this. With the mass transportation on there, it gives us all the crew that we need. We would need to have, though, I think we need a rule, actually. I think we need a rule. Here's what we need to do. So we already have the Tau standards up here. Okay, we made this basic for every single Tau vehicle. I think what we need to do, we may have to go back to the Manta to modify this, is I think we need to put down some equivalents. So, for example, a medium walker is going to equal 4 medium creatures. A large walker will equal 8 medium creatures. And the reason why I want to put this up here, and I want to do this, is because when we looked at the Manta, we put in a whole bunch of vehicle transporters. Now, in this case, it's actually kind of warranted, because this thing does have an entire lower bay dedicated to vehicles. That's fair. However, there's nothing really saying that you could not also put troops down there. So we need to make this a little bit more flexible. What I think we're going to do is we may actually ditch the vehicle transporters. We may ditch the vehicle transporters, and we'll keep the vehicle transporters for other things. What I think we're going to do is we're going to say that the large walkers will occupy the space of 8 medium creatures. And then that means that huge walkers... well, actually, I don't think huge walkers are really going to be an issue, because I haven't seen anything so far that carries the huge walkers. I don't necessarily know what they go into. Maybe we should look that up real quick. Let's see. Battle rolls. Let's see. 6 crisis battle suits are up to 3 broadside battle suits. But what about the big ones? What about the really big ones? Like, Riptides. Or Storm Surge. Let's look that up. What does a Storm Surge travel on? So here's a Storm Surge. Okay? It's the one that always looks like it's ready to fall over. It is a heavy weapons platform. Yes. Heavy artillery assets known as ballistic suits. Less maneuverable than a Riptide. That's fine. Let's see. It is operated by a selected pairing of veteran Hammerhead crewmen who graduated the ballistic suit academies. That's fine, I guess. Let's see. Here we go. The Storm Surge itself is transported into battle by a specifically modified Tau Manta. Right there. Which means that this thing cannot just replace standing soldiers. This thing actually needs to have some kind of hook or clamp system to carry it into battle. I wonder if that's true for some of the other ones. Let's look at the Supremacy. Super heavy battle suit. Let's see. Development began after the Tau heavy flyers, such as the Manta, were often outclassed against enemy assaults. Does it say what carries it? I'm going to assume it's probably Mantas. Okay, it doesn't actually say. And what was the other one? Was it a Riptide? Yeah, it was a Riptide. Let's see. Plasma reactors, Nova reactors. It provides itself not as much reliable but very powerful reactor. Let's see. Unleashed. At this battle, thanks to their maneuverability, they were able to counter Imperial heavy tanks. It does not actually say, however, how they're carried in. So I have to assume that if the Storm Surges are brought in by specially modified Mantas, the rest of these have to be too. So that means that when we're looking at these, medium walkers can be swapped out for 4 medium creatures, large walkers for 8 medium creatures. Huge walkers. This has got to be a mecha transporter. Oh, hello. I have somebody new in the chat. Hello, Jim. Tau, overloaded with technology. Oh my goodness. You have no idea. Actually, you probably do have an idea, but we've been at this one for a while. Since you're new here, you kind of missed everything else. The first thing we did is we actually sat down and figured out what do we need to add. So we had to add in all the races and then all these weapons and stuff. And then we actually sat down and did it. We have so many. The Tau are, yes, overloaded. But you know what? It's cool. We love them for that. Okay? We love them for that. Okay, so huge walkers will require mecha transporter. The other ones, however, will be swappable. Now, the next question is, do we want to do the same thing with any of the vehicles? So let's go back and take a look at the dropship again. So transport capacity, 24 Fire Warriors or up to 6 Crisis Battlesuits, 3 Broadside Battlesuits. And this thing does not carry any kind of tanks. Or any of the vehicles for that matter. So it doesn't carry any Piranhas, it doesn't carry any, what were the other things? Tetras, right. It doesn't carry any Tetras either. So I'm not sure how they are going to work out. And for the time being, I don't think we really need it to. But what we can do now is because the Manta was really based off of that hunter cadre, and we had to give it 12 vehicle transporters for that. Now that we have established that we can swap out some of these suits for just people, that is going to eliminate, I think, if I remember right, because we already deleted the we already deleted the list. I think that means that we can eliminate like all but 2 of those vehicle transporter clamps, which would drop the price of the Manta considerably, and it would drop the complexity immensely. Because this thing is so far over the line, it's not even funny. It's still going to be way over the line, even if we take off 10 of those vehicle transporters. But it won't be as far. And it also means that for the Orca dropship, we don't need any vehicle transporters. We don't. We can just replace the warriors inside for mechs as we wish. We can essentially hot swap them. And I'm all here for that. I think that's great. I think that's a really good rule to have for the Tau. It's going to give them the flexibility that they need, because that's kind of one of the things that the Tau do really well is flexibility. They don't have melee, they don't have psychers, and that just leaves them all of their tech, but they have short-range tech, they have long-range tech, they have guns that can shoot you without you even knowing they're there. They have a lot of flexibility. I think this is a good way to handle this. And Jim says, I like 1/48 scale miniatures like airplanes and stuff. Fair. I like miniatures. I like building stuff. I hate painting stuff though, which is why I don't do models. If I got into models, I would probably have a whole bunch of models built, but they would just be gray plastic. I could not be bothered to even try. I hate painting. Jim also says, I think when building airplanes, you begin with the engines that is small, and then the vision grows from there. So small engine, double, then 4. If we were building something from the ground up, you would be right. For what we're doing here, though, it's a little bit different. Because the ships are kind of already built. I have to just kind of mold it to fit into what I need. I have a stat sheet here that tells me more or less everything that I need to know about the actual ship I need to build. And then I have a set of rules over here so that I can insert it into the game. And I just have to make those two things mesh, which is easier said than done sometimes, especially with the vehicles, because this vehicle section sucks. I swear to God, if I can find the person who wrote this, I am going to buy a tuna and then slap them with it. Okay, so we got pretty much everything over here. We need the piloting. The piloting is a -1 and -3, which actually makes sense. So -1 normally, -3 at full speed. Although it does say it's very maneuverable, so I'm not entirely sure. It is just a dropship, though. Jim says, I'm quite sure orcs love rocket turbo engines. I think what you meant to say is you just love all the engines that are painted red. Okay, so now that we got that in place, no, I don't want that to be a thing. Alright, we got mass transportation. Hover is already inserted into it. So, are there any other modifications we need to make? Not really, so I think we can go ahead and set this up. I remember this from last time. Mass transportation is a 2,000% increase, which is just insane. Medium flying vehicles start off at 3,000. So, how much do you cost? And here's the thing. Why does this even matter, okay? You may be asking yourself, why does it actually matter what these ships cost? Why do I even bother to figure this out? The answer is this. It's unlikely that you as players are probably going to be going out and buying these ships. Okay, you're probably not going to go buy an Orca dropship. You're not probably going to go out and buy a Tetra. However, you may find them. And once you find them, you're gonna want to be able to sell them. That's why it's important. So 3,000 times 21.44 is gonna be 64,000 credits, 320. So 64320. There we go. Orca dropship. So if one of these things comes out of the sky, it lands, you kill everybody who comes out of it, and then you can have your very own ship. And Jim says, well, you can begin from a small vehicle and small weapon. I mean, that's true, and you can trade your way up. The real problem that's going to come in is when we actually get around to playing this game. And by the way, Jim, if you have any interest in tabletop games and you would like to play with us, I have a Discord. Join the Discord. Go to the Behind the Table channel, or Behind the Screen channel. Let me know what your availability is. Because I'm like one player short of setting up my first group. But the way this is going to work is the players are going to have a starship, and if they're smart, they will make sure that their starship has a hangar of some kind, so that they will be able to have a vehicle, whatever that might be. Probably it's going to be some kind of transport vehicle. So maybe it's a Land Raider, maybe it's, one of these hover barges, maybe it's just a Jeep, okay? And you struggle to find gasoline for it. I don't know what it is. But you would do well to have a hangar on the ship just for some kind of vehicle, and then it's a matter of what vehicle do you want to have. So you may not need to necessarily build a vehicle starting from something small. If you happen to find a Tau battle suit and bring it home, there you go, you got a vehicle. Okay though, do we have enough time to get one more done? If we go quickly, we might get one more done today. So let's go ahead and copy this. What is the next one that we're doing? We just did the Orca dropship. The next one is a Razor Shark Strike Fighter. We can look at a Razor Shark Strike. This might actually be really, let's make it really fast. Alright, so paste that in, clear this out. Alright, let's look at a Razor Shark Strike Fighter, and we'll try to do this one quickly. Because I don't want to keep people as late as I did yesterday. Razor Shark Strike Fighter. Alright, based on the Sunshark bomber design, the Razor Shark forgoes the Sunshark's pulse bomb generator and interceptor drone in favor of additional thrusters for increased maneuverability, as well as a quad ion turret mounted in the rear that can turn light vehicles into twisted wrecks. Other armaments include a nose-mounted burst cannon and seeker missiles stored in internal launch bays. The sleek and agile Razor Shark specializes in strike missions, but nonetheless can compete in air superiority options as well. Very cool. Now, is this strictly an atmospheric fighter, or does it go into space? And do I even get anything on this? I don't even get a data sheet on it. Oh, well, this is awkward. So we're gonna have to do this one from scratch. Alright, let's see if it tells us literally anything more. During the Tyranid invasion of Kelshan, Razor Shark proved its effectiveness in aerial attacks in conjunction with the Sun Sharks and Mantas. The super heavy Mantas blasted away flying Tyranids high in the atmosphere, while just above the planet's surface, Sun Sharks swept down to launch pulse bombs in order to break up the hordes of Hormagaunts. While the strategy played out, it was the Razor Sharks that scored the highest kill tally by targeting Tyranid warriors with their quad ion turrets and easily penetrating their frontal chitinous armor. A single attack run of Razor Sharks could devastate entire squads of elite alien warriors. In addition, while infiltrating Tyranids such as Lictors and Raveners emerged to threaten fire warriors on the ground, the Razor Sharks could swiftly move back and target the beasts. Traditionally, it is said that the finest Razor Shark pilots hail from the Sept of the Tashvar. Man, that was a whole lot of stuff to say a whole lot of nothing. So the only thing I have to go with is the very, very first line where it says it is an atmospheric strike fighter. So I have to take that to assume that it is only an atmospheric strike fighter. It does not leave the atmosphere for any reason. So we do not necessarily need to give this thing fast, I don't think. I think we're going to go with a medium flyer for this one. We do not have any dimensions yet, but we'll come up with some. Because it is a medium flyer, we can copy pretty much all of this. Go ahead and replace that so we can cover that. We keep this stuff. And then the percentage will be by default a 144, and the flat is going to be 3,000. Just because, you know, that's the vehicle. The attack, we can copy this. Okay, now, this thing says nothing about the crew, so we're going to have to make a few assumptions. And those assumptions are going to be, there is, I think it was the Devilfish. Yeah, the Devilfish tank. It has exactly one pilot, and then it's got other AI systems that help the pilot out. I think that the Razor Shark Strike Fighter is going to end up being much the same. I think it only has a single pilot in it, because that's generally how most air superiority fighters work. And there's nothing in here to really convince me otherwise. So, since medium flyers get a minimum, or a default of four people, we can say it's going to get one pilot, and we can convert the rest of those into cargo, so we can give this thing 60 bulk of cargo. Now, overall, we already have a pretty good flyer here, okay? This is your standard flyer, but the one thing that it says is this is an air superiority fighter. It has increased maneuverability. Let's see, what else? Sleek and agile, it specializes in strike missions, but nonetheless can compete in air superiority operations as well. So we need to make this thing into a proper fighter. And we have not added any modifications yet, aside from the defaults that every Tau vehicle gets. So what can we do? What are our options? Let's look at this first. Advanced materials, aged agriculture, alternate locomotion, armored, cargo, civilian, environmental, fast flight. It's already got all of those. Fast, we might want to give it, but more importantly, I want to give it increased maneuverability if I can. Thruster modifications, let's see, subpar materials, no. Miniaturization. I don't see anything here. We could give it a couple of levels of fast. We don't want to give it 3 because it doesn't go into atmosphere, or it doesn't leave the atmosphere. Now see, hold on. Here's something. What if we go into this stuff, the add-ons? Now this is something we haven't really looked at before, but it is an option. Mostly we've been looking at vehicle modifications, but add-ons, these give us some extra stuff. Like, here's the additional passenger compartment. It adds 12 seats for passengers. It also adds an additional 10 foot by 10 foot of size to the vehicle's base size. But we don't want that. What we do want is cargo, no. Improved mobility. Here we go. So improved mobility, this adds an additional boost of speed, increasing speed by an additional 10%. It reduces the piloting penalty by 4 points and gives an additional +1 to kinetic armor class. I like that. In addition, right below it is improved sensors. An advanced sensor system that allows the pilot to avoid collisions better, as well as cameras to allow them to view around the vehicle. It adds a +2 to perception. Actually, maybe not. It doesn't seem to really add a whole lot. Well, no, actually, it adds +2 to perception and piloting and attack. So, improved mobility and improved sensors. If there's no other modifications that we need to make, this is probably a good place to go. And being a medium vehicle, it does technically get 3 modifications. So we can keep this one well inside the lines. So, improved mobility and improved sensors. Now, technically speaking, that only leaves us room for 1 additional weapon on here, but we can straighten that out later. So, the improved mobility adds 10% to the speed. So, this is going to be at 10%, so that's be +7.5. Screw it. I'm using my calculator for this one. I could do it in my head, but I really don't want to. So it's going to go up to 82.5, but that's got to get rounded. It would round up to 83. And then 83 is going to round down to 80, so I'm just going to call it 80. So full is going to be 175. That's going to go up to 192.5. That's just going to go to 190. And the overall speed is a whole 41.8. 42 miles per hour. I feel like I need to go through and like redo all of the speeds. Like for every single vehicle, I think I need to redo the speeds because none of these speeds make sense. This is an air superiority fighter with a top speed of 42 miles an hour. I have gone 42 miles an hour on my bicycle. I think these speeds are just completely wrong. So I'll have to go through and just redo everything about them. Okay, it also increased the kinetic armor class by 1 and reduces the piloting penalty by 4. So kinetic armor class is going to go up to 14. And let's see, I hope I didn't screw anything up there. Oh, the Barracuda, which is what we kept copying, it has no modifications on it. So we're good there. So that goes up to 14. Piloting. The piloting for this thing is going to be -1 and -3. However, we get to reduce those penalties. So it's actually going to go up to a +3, +1. And there we go. That already makes it a much better fighter. So no more piloting penalties on this. Okay, so now that we got all that done, let's go ahead and figure out how much this thing is going to cost. And then we're going to call it a day. So we're going to come back here and say we want improved mobility. 700 per level of the frame. It is only a level 1, so that's going to be 3,700. And improved sensors is 10,000 credits per size of these sensors added. Wow! It is a medium flyer. That is 30,000 credits. Did anybody balance this? Whatever. It's just the cost of the vehicle. It's not going to hurt anything. Besides, if you manage to capture one of these things and sell it, it's a nice payday for the players. Alright, so we got 33,700 credits times 144% is going to be 48,528 credits. So 48,528. And there we go. We got a Razor Shark Strike Fighter. Hop in this thing, have fun. Okay then. So with the Razor Shark done, I think it's done. It looks done to me. I think we can go ahead and call this a day. This was a good day though. I mean, the Manta was really hard, but once we got the whole replacement system for troops and suits straightened out, I think that alleviates a lot of our problems, and it should make things a lot easier going forward. Well, no. I think we're pretty much done with that at this point, because these are the only two things that really carried suits. Everything else is just going to kind of be its own vehicle. Still, though, I had fun with this, and I'm looking forward to seeing these things actually in play in the game. I think that boarding a Manta and having to have like combat inside of it, and maybe even take it over by fighting your way to the cockpit, I think that could be a really interesting set piece. But we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. So, for the time being, like I said, we're going to go ahead and take a break for this week. When we come back next week, we have not that much more to go, I think, in terms of these vehicles. Yeah, we have the Sun Shark Bomber and the Tiger Shark to do, and then we get to go up and do battle suits. And the battle suits should be a lot of fun. They should really be a lot of fun. And I've already got a little bit of experience doing walkers, because I was tinkering around doing a Zoids, a Zoids module for Starfinder. So I've already got some experience making walkers, and that should make things go a lot more smoother. Jim says you can play 40k on a 12 by 12 board. I assume you mean 12 foot by 12 foot, because Warhammer battle maps are not small. And send the Fire Warriors and the Kroot forward? Well, yeah, that is what they do. You send in the Kroot meat shield, and then Fire Warriors provide fire support. I mean, that is what the Kroot are for. That's one of the things I never got. People are always complaining, it's like, oh, Tau are really bad. They're really bad at melee. They don't have any melee units. If Tau get into melee, they're screwed. It's like, that's what the Kroot are for. If you're running a whole bunch of Tau and you don't even have one band of Kroot, what are you doing? And in our case, you can just become a Kroot, so you can be the front line. And that's always fun, because first you kill them, then you eat them. That's always nice. Alright, well, like I said, we are going to get out of here. So, if you are enjoying this, if you find any value in this and you want to see more of it, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the bell icon. That way you get notified whenever these come out. Don't forget that if you know anybody else who is into tabletop games, or if they're into 40k and you think they might get something out of this, like if they are interested in playing a tabletop version of 40k, like they really like 40k stuff and they really like role-playing, that's what we're doing. We're mixing them together here. So if you know somebody who would be into that, share it with them. It's like the only way that people actually find these streams is if somebody shares it. So there's that. Otherwise, though, if you're just enjoying me, like the video, like the stream, leave comments. Comments are always good. Join the Discord, and you can leave comments there too. Especially if you'd like to join the game. If you want to join the game, you have to join the Discord. I don't like to have too many rules, but that's one of them because that's how we're going to handle the voice chat. So, leave comments on the videos, join the Discord, leave stuff there. Otherwise, though, I guess I will see you next week as we try to finish this up. We're not going to finish it up next week, but we're going to make progress. So, until then, I guess I will just say, take care.